You do a lot of different random little jobs. So what'd be the dream job?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say astronaut. Probably.
Really?
For real, yeah. I
I was
mean,
not
going
expecting
to
that.
space has got to be awesome.
Okay.
Living in space and having a reason to do it and getting
Right.
paid that way.
Hey,
So,
mine that is in the realm of sports, but when I was growing up, my dream job I always told people was I wanted to be the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs.
why not? I mean, there's a guy that has this spot pretty secured now,
Yeah.
but there's plenty of other quarterback positions. So,
Yeah, I mean, are there any other opportunities that you think would be the next thing like that you'd like to go and be a part of?
Super Bowl.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Next Gen podcast. Today, I have yet another special guest. Today, we have not only a college athlete, another media member, another 810 member. Dylan, thanks for coming on. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. This is a very massive honor. Thank you very much.
I figured, you're usually behind the camera. Let's switch it up today.
Hey, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I
of course.
appreciate that.
I do have one rule for you for this episode.
Uh-oh. What's
I
that?
know. I haven't told anyone else this yet, but I figured yours would be needed. Didn't come until loud.
Oh, okay. That will be tough, but I will do my best today.
I know.
So, that's my only form of comedy.
Same.
I guess I just did it
especially when we
right
get on a
there,
roll,
so.
we'll just really get down a rabbit hole of getting down on ourselves, and we're not about that today. So.
No, absolutely not. All right, I'll follow that rule then.
Okay, perfect. Do your best. So, to start off, I like to take Petro's little 2-minute drill and make it my Walmart version. Is always what I say. So, I have a couple quick questions for you, just like off the bat. First gut reaction. There's no incorrect answers, but I will judge them.
Okay.
Okay. What is your lucky number?
15.
Why?
I was a big fan of Mario Chalmers, and he has a pretty lucky Kansas number with a pretty lucky shot. I wouldn't call it lucky as a KU fan,
Right.
but I was a massive Mario Chalmers fan, so I just kind of considered it luck, especially after his shot. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. What would be your biggest superstition? Do you have anything either when with your time as an athlete or, now when you're getting into the studio, you have like a certain routine you have to follow or anything?
Man, that's a good question. I would say I'm pretty superstitious every day, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint one thing. Back when I played, I would have to pitch on one side of the mound, and also the mound would have to be clean. So I would actually be cleaning it off mid-game every pitch. So I'm sure people thought that was pretty weird.
What do you mean cleaning it off?
Like if there's dirt or anything on it, I would need it to
Take it
be
aside.
pearly white. And for some reason, I would feel like that would dictate whether I pitched good or bad. So, and that has carried on. I can't remember really any recently outside of sports, but that one is glaring for sure.
Pitchers have the weirdest superstitions. I talked with Jonathan a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about how he does a certain hop onto the field.
Really?
Yeah, and he has to be on certain feet and everything. So I've been collecting superstitions and trying to find the weirdest one. But I think yours is a pretty basic,
It's pretty basic. It's like so that guy for the Washington Commanders who everyone saw fixing his hair multiple times, doing stuff like that. It's very similar. And actually, I saw that and was like, wow, that actually looks like me a little bit. And it's kind of weird to see it on national television.
Fixing your hair?
No, well, I don't get to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But no, the weird random things that people don't really think are important, but you do as a superstition. So
for sure, I totally get it. What has been your favorite game either that you've played in or gotten the opportunity to work from the media side? Either way.
That's a good question. I would say the media side, it wouldn't be a game. It was the draft.
Okay.
Like the draft was so cool to work and be a part of. So I haven't really got to do a game. I do the Chiefs post-game show.
Mm-hmm.
So Super Bowls are awesome, but I'm not there technically. The game I played in, it was pretty awesome. I played at Royal Stadium in high school as a part of the local. We played Blue Valley North, I think. So yes,
a little rivalry there.
Yeah, very much EKL rivalry. So we played them in a 1-game series out at Royal Stadium. So that was probably my favorite game.
Right, you get to say you were,
Oh yeah,
on the field that be on.
Yes, proud parents still use those pictures today. So
I'm sure they do.
Yeah,
for sure. And then you do a lot of different random little jobs. What would be your all-time I have all the skills? Well, if you did, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
You could do anything you wanted to. What'd be the dream job?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say astronaut.
Really?
Probably. For real, yeah.
I mean,
going to space has got to be awesome. Living in space and having a reason to do it and getting
Right.
paid that way. and I don't think there's as much like people usually say like president of the United
Right.
States or whatever. I would say that has a little less stress. Obviously, not going into space part, but not running
Yeah.
an entire world. Then I'd go NFL GM
That's more of
next.
what I was expecting,
That's
was
what I thought.
something in
I
that
tried to give a
realm.
real one and
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
one that was like a far-fetched one.
Hey,
So
mine that is in the realm of sports, but when I was growing up, my dream job I always told people was I wanted to be the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs.
why not? I mean, there's a guy that has this spot pretty secured now,
Yeah,
but there's plenty of the quarterback positions. So
this is true.
you know,
This is true.
you got some time and eligibility left.
Yeah,
So
I have all 4 years of college eligibility, so who knows?
yeah,
Maybe I'll pick it up one day.
there
But
you
I
go.
can't throw a spiral. That might
We'll
be a
work on.
problem.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
might be the first thing we do.
it's okay. All right. Well, let's now that we're into it a little bit, let's go back. Baseball. You played in college.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you go to high school?
Oh,
Okay, we literally already said that. I
it's all
already
good.
knew that too. I'm just whatever. Anyways, when did you know baseball was your number one sport you wanted to like pursue?
Well, fun fact, it's not. It was kind of the only sport that I got an offer for.
Okay.
I really loved basketball in
Mhm.
high school a lot, but I was kind of in the middle of being a center
Mhm.
and a wing, and they chose center, and I size and height of
Right.
the seniors in high school on varsity. So I kind of gravitated towards baseball a little bit. And as soon as I started getting offers and seeing some facilities and stuff, I kind of decided that was what I wanted to do. And, you know, a lot of it too was that I was going to have to pay my way. Either I was going to go to community college either way.
Yeah.
So
I
I
get it.
figured I'd rather play and get it paid for than just go to Johnson County and then KU afterwards.
Right.
So
When
yeah,
did you when did you become a PO?
college.
Okay. How was that process? That's always it's not really a softball thing that we do.
Hmm.
Pitchers still hit. I
Yeah.
mean, not all the time, but sometimes. And it's always been so interesting to me. Like, if I was a baseball player and I was a pitcher, it
Hmm.
would just like knock me down a peg. Like, I was not a good hitter, but just being told, like, you're going to focus in on one thing.
Yep.
Do you have any like inspiring words of how you would deal
Um,
with that or how you did deal with that?
it was all right. I mean, inspiring words would be more just like don't take everything personally, I guess, because it does seem personal when you're told you're not good enough to play at this level
Right.
at a certain position, but we want you to play this position, which
Mhm.
was in reality what I was going there for in the beginning. But they
Right.
tell, as you can see with like, say, like a Travis Hunter, like a bunch of NFL teams or college teams probably told him to play both, and there was only certain coaches that were actually going to let him play both.
Right.
So I was told I was going to do both, and then they kind of let you figure that out in the fall.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it was all right. It definitely made it a lot more boring to not be able to hit every day and all
Right.
you're doing is pitching. But you know, you just handle it how you handle it,
Right.
and once you realize like this is the next level from high school, so you always have that. You know, you might have been able to do it at the lower level, but not this one. So
Right.
you kind
That's
of
fair.
just go in expecting that you might hear some news like that.
Okay.
But
What was it like just being a college athlete? How did you manage your time? Any like strengths, weaknesses?
I would say junior college is kind of a, you know, there's not really practice restrictions on
Right.
how much time you can spend. So it's hard to manage your time. You want to get up in the morning. If I was going to go back and do it, I would definitely have got up a lot earlier in the morning to do things like, you know, school, homework, things like that. Because those were, I would say, I was a closer to Cardell Jones
Okay.
student athlete
Okay.
where I'm here to play baseball. I'll get the grades I need.
Yeah.
That's what I go back and change. It's just like maybe doing a little
Focusing
more
on that a
school,
little
but
bit. That's
yeah.
fair. Me too. Me too for sure. Were there any issues that you ever had managing that lifestyle? Like personally, I couldn't do it, but your world was baseball. Your full-time job was being a student
Hmm.
and being an athlete.
Yeah.
Were there ever any weeks that you were like, "Man, I need to give one of them up?"
Um, I don't think so. There really wasn't. Like, there wasn't a time where I said that this is too much. I mean, I just kind of did admit that it was school if one of
Mhm.
the two was going to suffer, but you still had time to do it later at night. It
Yeah.
was just, it was 10 o'clock by
You're
that
just
time. So you're
exhausted and
exhausted.
done.
But, you know, when you're in the moment, you're having so much fun that you don't really see like, oh, this stinks or oh, this is too much.
Mhm.
It's all, you know, you're with your friends and also there's camaraderie and misery where you're
Yep.
kind of just like, oh, we're all doing it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun.
Fair
And
enough.
junior college, like if you are at a campus that isn't a Johnson County or Kansas City, Kansas Community College, you're basically the only people in that town that
Right.
aren't locals or athletes from other cities that maybe didn't go Division 1 or 2. So it's kind of where everyone's in the same boat.
Right.
So,
Where did you play?
so I played at Kansas City, Kansas Community College,
Mhm.
then Western Nebraska Community College, and then Independence Community College. So
Wild the
somehow I made
switches.
3 junior college trips in one tenure. So the first college, me and my coach really didn't see eye to eye on certain situations. And looking back, he was right, I would say. And I
Okay.
learned a lot actually from that um, situation and took it into my other 2. Western Nebraska is probably my favorite one. The
Okay.
problem was it was just so far from home. So my last year, I ended up going to Independence Community College.
Want to be close to home and
So
family and everything.
yes, so that was just my last year, and just decided that was kind of it.
Fair
So
enough.
yeah.
And then you ended up here. How'd you end up at 810?
So I actually started as a part-time board op doing the minor league Wichita Wind Surge games for
Okay.
ESPN Wichita, and just kind of kept saying, "I'll do this. I'll help you guys with that, promotions,
Mhm.
things around the office," and just tried to work as hard as I could until it turned into a full-time position, and it did. And from there, I just kept doing the same hard work. And as soon as a producer job was open for the zone, it was a dream come true.
Right.
And I
Right.
really wanted the opportunity, and Jason gave it to me, and I appreciate him for that.
Right.
So
How do you just casually learn the board one day?
it ain't casual.
No.
I can promise you, you are not a casual learner of the board. It
Right.
is something. It's like riding a bike. You
Mhm.
almost have to learn on the job, a trial by fire, because you can tell someone this button and these things do that, but
Mhm.
until they're pressing them, until they're getting a feel for the sound and things like that, they have, it's really hard to and it's kind of like cooking.
Right.
People might have different ways, different chefs might have different recipes, but as long as you're making what the customer ordered, which
Mhm.
is the host of the show, the co-host, the guest, things like that, then you probably shouldn't have an issue. And they'll tell you if there's something they would like change, which is also nice. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Whenever I'm out on remotes, I always tell the client, they're like, how does the show work? I'm like, well, like our producer's back at the station, they're pressing buttons.
Yeah.
Give me like I mean, obviously I'm not gonna go into the full detail of what you do
Mhm.
to a client, but what does the producer do back there? What buttons are you pushing? What all are you managing?
So we're managing the sound, we're managing the ads, we're managing live reads, we're also managing, as you said, people on remote, which are also clients and ads basically that are just part of an entire show.
Right.
So basically, I'm in control of anything that goes out over the air.
Mhm.
Uh, Host, sound, cutting up, clipping things, podcasting them, making sound effects, things like that. So basically, all the technical stuff
Right.
is what I'm in charge of. So I make sure commercials play, your feed from whatever spot plays, just things like that. It's pretty easy. So
It is not easy.
it doesn't seem like it.
I like
No.
when I used to sit back with you when I was interning and,
Mhm.
try to learn a little bit here and
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I just remember one day you were like, "Oh yeah," like you got up to like go to the bathroom or something. Yeah, just press that button. I was like, "There's about a million right
Yeah.
here." I mean,
It
it's
wasn't
so
specific. I do. Yeah.
no.
So
I mean, it was like moving a little camera angle. It wasn't that big of a deal. But like, give me a what preparations do you do for every show? I mean, you guys are in here 5 days a week.
mhm.
What preparations do you guys do before 10 o'clock live hits?
So we're gonna do things like get any audio from the night before, say from Twitter or
Mhm.
from a game or post game, things like that, and we'll edit it, make sure it's ready for air, cut out any swear word, anything like that, make
Right.
sure it's radio appropriate, it sounds good, things like that. You kind of set up the show as well. You have conversations about things. It's almost like you just come into work with your coworkers at any other job and discuss the previous night's events, whether it be sports, movies, pop culture, things like that. And you kind of build a show from that,
Right.
and have a structure, you have a format, things like that. So usually pre-show is just getting ready, figuring out what topics you want to cover, and trying to make it kind of seem seamless and not thrown together at the last second, even though sometimes
Well, in
it gets
sports, you
that
have
way.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What would you ever do? Speaking of last second,
mhm.
it stresses me out, and I'm sure it stresses you out whenever, specifically your team.
Yeah.
Sterling is great about getting there on time, and Jason will all say it to his face. He likes to show up at 9:58.
Mhm.
What would you ever do if he just didn't show up? Or he was 15 minutes late.
Let's see.
It's the Dylan show.
I don't know. Yeah, that would be tough. I mean, that would be very big emergency if I was the one on the show.
I don't think that's true.
I think, yeah. Well, and we also said no self-deprecating humor, so that's my bad. That's the
See,
first
you're
mistake.
breaking my rules.
I think it'd be fun. I think
Yeah.
me and Sterling have had shows together. I've done a show by myself before, as scary as that is. Like me and
the
Todd
worst
have
show
done.
ever, or whatever it was.
What I think would happen is Todd Lebo would join and take it
It's fair.
over.
Mhm.
If he didn't start the show doing that, after about 5 minutes, he would want to. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. If there was anyone out there, like I don't know if you watched the show, but I always say it on every episode. Our whole point of doing this show was to explain to the little youngins in the area, like
Yeah.
these are the role models to look up to,
Mhm.
Either from for the media side. If someone's out there saying, "Hey, I want to be a board op, I want to be a producer,"
Yeah.
what would you tell them to start working on now?
I would say that you should definitely get into production in any way that you can. There's plenty of classes. There's junior college classes. There's classes at four-year colleges. Ben teaches one that works here with us. And just I did a lot of research online. Like I did a lot of research, and also just when you're watching your favorite shows, if you see boards, these things like pay attention to that and try and take it from them, and also be willing to ask for help. Be willing to ask the show host, am I doing a good job? Do you want me to change X, Y, or Z? And go from there. Because really, again, like I said, it's different with every show. As a producer, you might get in and have the producing of, say, the program, where there's a lot of structure, where we got this, we got that. Here's the cart that needs to play, things like that. Or our show, where it's kind of just like, we're gonna hit these topics. We got bumper music, things like that. There's not really much other than that. So it's just kind of figuring out what your show host wants and what sounds great. And like take classes like Ben's, go and intern. That's another great thing to do. And be looking for part-time work. Don't be afraid to do the work that maybe you don't want to do. If you're not a board op to start, that doesn't mean you're never going to be a board op. I wanted to be a board op, but I was doing promotions.
Right.
To work hard.
Talk about promotions a little bit.
Yep.
How did you get, caught up in my world before it was my world?
I think that I can't remember what golf tournament I was working, but I was just helping out. Like I said, where I just tried to make it where, hey, like any way I can help, I will help. So, I would go help, and it felt like I was like working hard, doing everything that they asked, but that was something that they valued and thought was great. So I just kept doing that, and they kept asking me to help with promotional things when I wasn't doing Wichita.
Right.
And it's actually fun. Like know exactly what I'm talking about, where you get to see a bunch of people, meet a bunch of people, see a bunch of businesses, and go into the back and see how businesses work, whether it's a restaurant or a store, rally house, places like that. It's really cool to go meet people working there, and kind of see the customers and the clients that we serve as far as advertisers go.
Right.
So,
do you have any favorite memories of your time at 810 on that promotional side of, this is my favorite event we get to do, or
the draft for sure.
Yeah. You said
the draft was awesome.
How were you involved in the draft?
So I was sitting at our tent on the hill that's by the World War I Museum.
Yeah.
But our tent had maybe the perfect view of the stage. So selfishly, I was kind of enjoying the fact that I can see the draft stage while I'm working. So that was probably why it's my favorite. But I do like the golf tournaments. Those are fun because you see all the salespeople, everyone from the work environment is there. It's not just maybe one or two salesmen that are on that one. It's everyone's there. So it's kind of a community thing. I would say the golf tournaments are pretty fun. So
I always like to tell stories of like what that actually means, what that looks like. And like earlier I was talking with Bethany about the golf tournament, how her and I whipped around the golf court and just, took social pictures the whole day basically and got to hang out.
Right.
Do you, from the golf tournament, what do you enjoy most besides for just the people being there?
I mean, you kind of stole mine. Is whenever you get put in charge of the cart, that's the best one for sure. I don't know. Again, probably just meeting the clients, like the people that buy advertising with us. It's always fun to talk to them and meet people and see the sales staff. So
yeah,
I'd say that's probably my favorite part.
It seems like sometimes you get put as like the face for a lot of things, which I find really comical, knowing how much you love that. You get sent out to the Mavericks show. You get sent out to the Big 12 tournament that we got to work
Oh,
together.
that's true. That's another one that was fun. Yeah.
That one was probably one of my favorite like weekends of work. And like, yeah, we did have to work, early mornings, late nights
Right.
during a huge event. We wanted to probably just be sitting
It's
and watching
cold as
basketball.
hell out there.
It was pretty cold. We found ways to warm up though,
Mhm. Yeah.
close bars and whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, are there any other like opportunities that you think would be the next thing like that you'd like to go and be a part of?
Ooh. Super Bowl.
All right.
The
Are you
Super
getting to do
Bowl.
anything with it this year?
I mean, I had to run the board because our show gets to be there.
Yeah.
Jason and Sterling and Todd Lebo, they all work, and it's really the perfect time because it's the lunch hour.
Mhm.
Everyone's listening here, but also everyone's there
Right.
at Radio Row doing their thing, trying to get their stuff done basically, so the rest of their day's open. So it's kind of good
Yeah.
that they're there. But yeah, I'd say the Super Bowl or Lake Tahoe. Those are the two.
Tahoe is the one that is like my number one bucket list
Yeah.
of like what looks like could be potential. I'm not
Yeah.
shooting
Oh,
for
yeah.
the heavens here. I'm just
So my aunt and uncle live in Lake Tahoe as well. So I
okay.
would
So you would get to like double whammy it.
exactly. Yeah.
After like Sterling's story about like Miles Teller, I am like,
Yeah.
I need to go.
Yeah, you do.
I need to go.
It is. It's good.
Mhm.
It's a good time.
Do you ever get, call-ins, either guests or sometimes fans that just irk you? You don't have to use names,
No.
but
I would say
no?
no, not really. The only ones that irk me are the ones that take shots at like other callers, like other people. If you're gonna say something bad about whatever, it is your opinion,
Right.
as long as it's not offensive or whatever. But no, there's not really any callers or anything that strikes me as bad. There's just some callers are cannibals and take shots at each other, but
Yeah.
nah.
They get crazy, especially
Yeah.
like when I go out to remotes. I mean, some of the nicknames we have for our favoriteest fans that come up. And it's such like a hard, like we want to be so supportive
Mhm.
and be like, yes, thanks for loving us as much as we love it. But at the
Right.
same time, like
Mhm.
I know it gets on some on-air guys, it gets in their heads and they don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
Well, and then here's the thing: is like you have your own voice in your ear. You
Mhm.
have your producers probably in the other ear as well, and you're trying to like have a third conversation now. So it's almost impossible to hear the fan or the individual that's coming up to say hi or hey, I listen to you guys all the time, which we love.
right.
But it's like we want to talk to them in the break so we can hear their stories, hear what
Right.
they had to say, thank them,
Mhm.
and actually give them like a real genuine conversation of like, hey, like, thank you for listening. We
Yeah.
want to hear what you do. Like, well, why do you listen? Like, where are you from? Where did you play sports? Things like that.
Mhm.
So no, it's the that's probably the hardest part about remotes is just explaining that of like, hey, like we do want to hear from you. We do want to thank you. It's just like we're on the air right now. And
Right.
It's like really hard to do that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always such a funny, like, how do I like can you not tell I'm busy? I'm not trying to be rude, but
yeah. Uh-huh.
I can't talk to you right now because the whole world will hear it, or at least the Kansas City
Yeah,
area.
right.
Yeah.
Or anyone within a vicinity of the
Yeah,
speaker.
right.
Yeah.
What about the chemistry? I haven't talked to any other guys on the actual shows. It's all been around the office people.
Right.
What happens if you guys just are like having a day where the jokes aren't landing and you're not vibing with each other as the producer? What can you do to help kind of like rally everyone, fix the chemistry?
Yeah. It's kind of just what you would do in any situation if you were with two friends and they were having that same vibe.
Mhm.
You kind of just do that in a professional manner. And really, it's hard to even pinpoint times where that's been the case because we all just have so much fun on the show.
Right.
And it's like, even if it ever did get like that, it almost course corrects itself immediately because they debate, which is part of the
Yeah.
reason why people want to listen is hear different sides. So nah, if people are getting off, you kind of just change the subject. But I've never had it where I felt like, boy, I really need to get out of this or throw it to a break or whatever. But
Mhm.
no, it's if the chemistry's off, it's usually just takes a pause or a change of subject, and then you're good to go.
Right.
So
Around the office, you're known for a couple little funny things, right?
oh yay,
Oh yay. First one, I guess the Dylanisms, right?
uh-huh.
We already talked about the jokes,
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
never
yeah.
I'm never no one here is ever gonna hear you say something like positive about yourself, which is
Sure.
doing yourself a disservice.
I'm just modest.
Sure.
And also I don't take compliments well. So it's more
No, I'm the same way. I don't know what to
if I
do.
push it off, if
Mhm.
I say something funny too,
Right.
about myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
that'll work.
Other than that, the coffee intake.
Yes.
What's an average? I mean, like,
Ooh.
I see you in there
Is
probably
my doctor gonna see this?
Is your who?
My
Oh, your
doctor. I don't know because I
don't
lie when
know.
I go in, and I feel like this is an unhealthy amount to say 2 pots.
2 pots?
I don't know. For I don't keep track
I'm
necessarily.
gonna start keeping track for you.
Okay,
2
maybe you
pots of
should.
coffee on no lunch.
Yeah, that is my lunch. I'm kidding. It's my lunch-ish. I do eat lunch when I get home, but in the moment when you have the 10 to 2, it's like
It's a
one, I
hard
don't want to. I don't want to eat because
Right.
I'm not hungry because I got so much stuff, nerves as well. Like
You
I'm
get
not
nervous when
nervous.
you go into the booth?
I wouldn't be nervous. I knew that was the next question as soon as I said it, but it's like not nerves. It's
Mhm.
just you don't know what to expect because something could happen. Like we had our entire internet shut down one day, and I couldn't play commercials.
Right.
So we were just going until we could fix that. There's just things like that you can't account for. So
Right, right. Other than that, the last one is now losing my brain, which is really fun and happens almost every episode.
yeah, that never happens to me. So
No, never.
Hmm.
This is fun. Easton's gonna have a really fun time editing this.
this should definitely be the TikTok or the
Oh, you
short.
see those?
The short.
You see those? Now I'm embarrassed.
Why?
I'll make him edit it all out. I had such a good point. Coffee, the jokes. It was the one I was most excited about. That's why I saved it to last. Shouldn't have done that.
Coffee jokes.
Around
Football.
the office, football, just football in general.
This is I love football.
Yeah, well, kind of. For being so young, you're the guy that knows all the stats. Like
random.
Yeah, like
old,
who won the Super Bowl in 1975?
Yeah, Steelers. But
Like that.
Yeah.
How?
Because I love the NFL Films does maybe the best work of any league of producing movie quality documentaries in season of the whole season. And a lot of it just to do is that they have cameras in every locker room in every stadium. They have boom mics everywhere, regardless if you're 0-16 or 16-0. So you can see, I mean, if you want to learn about a player that you really, really liked and that was a special player, they usually have a great documentary, a football life, America's games, things like that. And that just kind of got me started. And now I read books and, just do all kinds of different things because it is an intriguing game. It's different from baseball in the sense that baseball, you can pitch a perfect game and there's no help.
Yeah.
Like football, I like is the chess board where you have 11 pieces and they all have to do the right thing or it's a failure. Usually there's going to be a loss or a touchdown or things like that. And it's kind of creates a dependency that they're, turns into a family atmosphere that I really enjoy about the NFL and NFL Films portraying things like that. And you just watch a bunch of that, an unhealthy amount, some would say. And then you just get all that knowledge. So yeah, I joke that I've been watching football for 40 years.
Well,
as a 28-year-old. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, okay, but how do you remember it? Because I do the same thing. Like we share the same, podcasts and books and videos that we both like to watch of all these weird stats or evolution of the NFL kind of videos.
Yeah.
But I don't retain any of it.
Right.
How
And
do you
that is a
retain
weird thing I have. Like, I don't know why I retain certain things. Like, again, school was not, I was good at certain classes, but how many times do I have to learn American history over
Right.
again? If I already know it, sometimes my attention span isn't great.
Okay.
Which is whatever.
It's fine.
I can remember weird things. Like, if I go somewhere and drive somewhere one time, I don't have to get directions again. I can, based off of context clues around, that's just one of those things. And I think that if I really enjoy something like that, like NFL film, like all that stuff, it's easier to retain for me. So, yeah.
Do you think that helps you out at all with, what you do for work?
I would say a little bit. Yeah. Just a little bit.
Throw you a curve or a
softball.
Wow. Thank you.
Softball.
My brain is just turned off today. That's really
all
helpful.
good. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, I think we are about out of time. Look at you. You did it. Only
I
one
know,
joke.
I think 2.
Okay, 2. See there, that would be
2 strikes. I didn't make a third, so it's all good.
Exactly.
It's all good.
No strikeout here. Well, Dylan, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Usually this is when I shout out socials, but you are the
a DMichaels810 on Twitter, and that's it.
Okay. So. See, I looked on Instagram. I didn't look on Twitter.
Nah, I can't do Instagram. My Instagram would just be like photos. It wouldn't even be of me. It would just be like pictures I took in Ireland or something.
Yeah. You and your Ireland pictures. That story here is always like your traumatic.
My traumatic?
Well,
I think it's someone else's traumatic.
my traumatic.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
promotional office, anyone that was working that golf tournament that expected me to be a part of it, probably traumatic for them. And
Yeah.
yes, I am known for that. So
I kind of forgot about that.
well, yeah.
Happens. All
Yep.
right. Well, Dylan, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Of course, anytime. You're always welcome back whenever you feel like getting on.
I don't think
this
your
side of
fans
the
will want
camera.
that.
I don't know. My fans are pretty much like my mom, so I'm sure. Fine. Anyways, we will catch you guys all next time. We are wrapping up this season. I've said this on the last couple episodes, but we only have about a month left of filming for the year, and then we'll pick right back up in August. So make sure to just rewatch those old favorite podcasts you had of ours, or check out any of the other podcasts, of course, at 810. And per usual, this episode is brought to you by 810 Sports Radio. 810 bringing you the next generation of sports listeners right here on the Next Gen podcast. So I think that's about it for today. We'll catch you guys next time.